Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
With Lululemon, the real gift happens when they're living in it. When you give the fan favorite everywhere belt bag, the real gift is... And when the ultra soothing rest feel slides are the gift, you're really giving them... This holiday, Lululemon makes it easy to give little luxuries that go beyond. Open the moment. Shop now at Lululemon.com.
Let's hang out. Let's hang out. And let's talk about what Legends have found. Let's hang out. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Let's hang out. Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Lez Hang Out, a podcast hosted by two Wonder Women. From the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida.
And from the West Coast, I'm Lee Holmes Foster. If you have been listening to the podcast forever, then thank you as always for joining us. If you are new, welcome. We are so glad that you're here. Here is what's been going on lately.
This week in the Lesdom.
This Week in the Lesdom is a place for us to check in, touch base about what's going on in the podcast life, in our lives, or just in the greater queer world. And starting us off this week, again, we are reminding everyone we have our first live show coming up.
Heck yeah, we do.
February 18th at the Bell House in Brooklyn. You can buy your tickets early. They are $16. If you get them at the door, they are $20. So we recommend getting them early.
Yes, and I'm so excited. I went to karaoke the other night, and one of my friends at karaoke, who we're friends, but we literally only see each other at karaoke. She lives in Boston, obviously. She was like, "I just got tickets to your show." And I was like, oh my God, that is so sweet. So I'm really excited. A lot of people from Boston are going to be making the trip. So hopefully we see, a bunch of you from New York. And if you're close to New York, take the weekend. It's going to be really fun.
It's great. It's a holiday weekend. Make a trip out of it. Yeah. Come hang out.
Come hang out with us. And another exciting update. We just made our third goal on Patreon, which is $500 a month, which is freaking amazing. You guys are incredible. And that means that we are that much closer to making our live shows happen. We can use that money for travel. We can use that money to go to Clexicon, which we will definitely be at. Some people were asking us on our Instagram. We will for sure be at Clexicon this year. So we would love to see you all there. And now on to our fourth goal, which is $1,000 a month, which I think we can freaking crush. So if you want to help us, you can go to bit.ly/lespatreon.
We say it all the time, we could not do this without our Patreon support. It's how we're making the live show happen. So if you want to see us more, see more live shows, see us at more conventions, that's what lets us make all these things happen. And we really couldn't do it without that support. So thank you so much to everyone that's a part of our Patreon family.
Heck yes. And what is happening in the general lesdom is that the first Italian woman to come out publicly passed away recently, Maria Silvia Spalato, and she came out at a feminist rally in 1972.
Yes, we just wanted to take an opportunity to, comment on that action, how important that is. You know, we have friends that we know who are queer women who are Italian, and from what we hear, it is not still a very easy thing in the country necessarily, especially I think depending on where you live, like how accepted that is. So it's certainly something that wasn't easy for Maria Silvia. She had a pretty rough life after coming out, and we just thought it was worth at least, honoring her memory and how, monumental that was. Other European happenings, we're doing a lot of Europe in our this week. There's the Diva Music Festival happening this weekend. It's November 30th to December 3rd in Great Yarmouth in England. So
Great Yarmouth.
Great Yarmouth.
One of these days, Lee
out.
and I will be there. Don't you worry.
Oh my God. Doing an entire set of Lez-ssentials songs.
That would be sort of amazing.
That would be amazing. Yes.
But KT Tunstall's headlining. I'm sure it's going to be I'm sure it's going to be an awesome weekend. It's like everything that I love, music and lesbians. So like one of these days, even if I'm not on stage, I will be at the festival.
So check that out if you're, in the UK or somewhere nearby. Or just like traveling. I don't know.
Just like hanging out with lesbians in a field.
Yeah, exactly. Finally, we hope that everyone had a great Thanksgiving last week. We are now gearing up for Christmas.
Oh my God.
So, let us know what's been happening. Send us pics, send us updates.
Yes.
We love it. And that's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Lee.
Thanks, Ellie and Lee. And welcome, everyone, to episode 208, our next installment of Lez-ssentials.
Lez-ssentials is a recurring segment on the show where we dive into classic lesbian or queer movies or shows. And as a reminder, we also write and record an original song for each Lez-ssential, so stick around to the end of the episode to hear the song for this week, which we're very excited about.
It's gonna be so great. When Lee sent it to me, I was so excited. I had to go pretty wild on this production, so we're pumped, and you really want to listen to it. For this Lez-ssentials episode, we're going to be breaking down a more recent smash hit, Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman.
You may have heard of it. You may have seen it.
Maybe.
I think some people mentioned it was kind of
good.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. We will talk. We'll talk about it because it's the first time I've seen it for this episode.
We're going to have some feelings about this movie.
Lots of feelings.
It's fine. It was not the first time I've seen it. I've seen it many, many times now. This was a great excuse to rewatch it, a couple times.
Yeah.
Just I had to rewatch it again, maybe take more detailed notes, so.
That's why you had to watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For anyone who's not familiar with the movie, it came out last year, 2017. It was written and directed by Angela Robinson. Just as a quick side note on that, you might remember the name Angela Robinson if you're familiar. Our very first ever Lez-ssentials episode, Debs, also written and directed by Angela Robinson. So
Angela Robinson is a true friend of the gays.
Yes, killing it, crushing it, just making more things happen. And what a difference from Debs to here, right?
Oh yeah, very different film, but both
Very different
equally good in different ways.
Love them. Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman stars Luke Evans, Rebecca Hall, and Bella Heathcote. And the IMDb synopsis is: the story of psychologist William Moulton Marston and his polyamorous relationship with his wife and their mistress, who would inspire his creation of the superheroine Wonder Woman. Oh, lordy.
What a synopsis, and actually accurate for once.
It is actually accurate.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like is that they call all of them mistress.
The mistress, yeah.
I kind of want to be like his two wives.
Yeah, you're right. Well, they didn't technically get married, but
I know.
she's definitely not his mistress. Like,
Right.
girlfriend? Partner?
Yeah, partner.
Their
I don't know.
partner?
I want
I feel
there
like
to
their
be something
partner
that's a
sounds better
little
to
less
me.
like scandalous.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just, I feel like it puts her in a different category than I think she belongs in. So that's my only issue with the IMDb blurb. Otherwise, yes, I think it's certainly a more accurate, overview of the film than we see in those sometimes.
Yes, for sure.
For sure. So let's dive in.
Let's dive in.
We open credits on the present day. So the movie's kind of told in two different timelines. There's the present day timeline, which I think is set in the mid-40s, 1940s, and then it continuously jumps back into the late 1920s. And we open in this 1940s sequence of children going around gathering all their Wonder Woman comics and paraphernalia, because boy, are we gonna have a burning party.
Oh, no.
So they are tossing those all in a bonfire. They are cheering the destruction of these comics while Professor Marston looks on sadly.
Mm-hmm. And is defending them to Connie Britton, which I just love. She's such a great actress.
Yes.
Like, she's just so good. And I was like, I sort of hate you, but I also love you. I'm very conflicted here.
He is at a hearing trying to defend Wonder Woman from all of these claims that it is inappropriate, it is perverse, it is filled with sexual deviance and all that good stuff.
Which, to be real, is not that untrue.
Oh, no, it was totally true, you know?
But yeah, so much of the stuff that's in there, I'm just like, but on the other hand, there's a lot of like weird shit in comics no matter what.
Right.
You know?
And everywhere. I mean, there's a lot of weird shit in movies and in songs.
Like,
and
not everything that is created for children, like, is devoid of sex.
Right, exactly.
Yes. There's a lot of sex appeal to Wonder Woman.
Either way, though, he has to try to defend the upstanding moral character of Wonder Woman, and as he does that, you know, we're gonna have the dialogue sort of lead us through his personal life and what led to the creation of Wonder Woman. And so that starts with our first flashback. We jump back to Harvard Radcliffe College, 1928. And what I love is the opening line of starting this story. The first thing we see with younger William Marston is him opening his class with the question, "Are you normal? What is normal?"
Yes, and that's what we're going to examine for this whole movie.
Yes, it's perfect.
Yeah,
it's such
so
a perfect
good.
opening line. I love it. I love that that's sort of like setting the scene, setting the entire theme of this movie. What does that even mean, right? Like, what does it mean to be normal, and who is normal, and who decides what is normal? Because it's basically, that's the whole crux of everything in this movie.
Yep. It's
So
crazy.
I love that. I love that that's his opening line. I love even more Elizabeth's first line in the movie. So we meet William Marston, we meet his wife, Elizabeth, and her first thing she ever says in the film, "The cocksuckers denied me again."
Yes! I love her so much. And this is actually like I added this as part of the drinking game. Like every time she complains about Harvard versus Radcliffe, you're just like, because yes, she's like, okay, yeah, they're going to give me a degree from Radcliffe, but why won't they just give me one from Harvard? Like I'm just as smart, I'm even smarter than the men at fucking Harvard.
The so-called men. I feel like you could just have a drinking rule of like every time Elizabeth complains about men.
Yes.
Because, good lord, does she complain about men all the time. And every single time she does it, like, from, you know, this vantage point of 2018, I'm like, what a mood. Like, what a 2018 mood represented by 1928 Elizabeth Marston.
Oh, yeah,
it's
fierce.
amazing.
She is a fierce feminist icon. And, like,
She's
especially,
amazing.
like, in that time. Like, oh, my
Yes.
God, she's amazing.
She's amazing. Rebecca Hall is amazing in the role. She's just great. He calls her a grade A bitch at some point, which is not inaccurate, but like she owns it and I love it.
I feel like he says that to her as a compliment. Like she likes it. Yeah, she's like, yeah, I'm a bitch. Like I own it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, like honorable mention to every time she's in the window. Do you know what I'm talking about? When she just is lounging in the window of his classroom.
Yep.
Like, I just love that that's how we usually see her. Like, you're just like,
I love it.
She's panned to being like, I'm really the one who's in charge in this classroom, just so you all know.
Also, shout out to its Prohibition years, and they just have like a secret beaker filled with liquor, like stashed in a closet somewhere.
She's like, "Where's the alcohol?" He's like,
"Where's the
here,
alcohol?"
Just in this test tube.
You know, it's like, here's a flask, but like not like a hip flask, like a laboratory flask. I don't know.
Intellectual flask.
Yeah, they're hilarious. I love, like, because they don't really talk about the fact that it's Prohibition a lot. Like, Olive mentions it at one point, but I love how they, like, work that in there, that they're just like, fuck the rules, because that's, you know.
Well, that's their whole thing.
Again,
like,
that's kind of them.
Yeah, their whole existence is like, fuck the rules, fuck society. Just because somebody tells us we can't drink doesn't, like, we're gonna drink. We're gonna do all this other shit. I
feel like an alternate synopsis of this movie could just be the phrase, damn the man.
Yes. Yes.
What is Professor Marston about? Damn the man.
Yeah,
That's
the man does
answer.
not exist.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so our next scene, they're outside in the quad on the stairs. They are observing the co-eds, you know. Well, I guess they're not co-eds at this point. They're observing the unco-eds co-ing together.
Yeah, what?
However you want to phrase that. They're observing the mating rituals of undergrads,
College.
basically. Yeah. And who are they watching? Who else?
Olive
Olive Byrne.
I just love how they're like examining her like she's some type of experiment.
Yes.
They're like,
yeah. Well,
look
and
at-
which he literally says, I want to study her, you know? Which is like an interesting euphemism for have sex with.
Yeah, you know.
It's just-
I study.
Is that what the kids were calling it in 1928?
I just want to study you. Yeah. But I also really love this scene sets up, I think, this idea that's very common in polyamorous relationships of couples that are very open and honest about sexual desire. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's like they're studying all these women and Elizabeth is like, she's beautiful. Like, you think she's beautiful. You you want to have sex with her. Like, I know you do. You know, and like they're very open about it. That girl over there is like the most sexually desirable woman on this campus or whatever, you know, and they're just talking about it openly as husband and wife.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting.
It is. And it's also, I think, I really love how Elizabeth points it out here. Olive is going to point it out later in the film that they really kind of dig in hard to this idea that, like, beauty in a woman is not always a blessing. It can be a handicap in a lot of ways. You know, and so they kind of start touching on that idea here that Elizabeth is certainly aware of that, right? Mm-hmm. That there's kind of this double-edged sword to being an object of desire as a woman. So, I the whole scene, it's great. It's great character development for the two of them. We're learning a lot about, you know, their relationship, how they communicate with each other, how they feel about certain things. You know, you have Elizabeth having this great, like, yeah, go for it. I'm your wife, not your jailer, you know?
Yeah, I think she says, like, literally, I don't experience sexual jealousy.
Right,
Like,
which is, like, also such bullshit.
Yeah, we're like, well, we'll see about that, Elizabeth. But
such bullshit because literally the next scene is Olive coming in to TA the class with them, and they have this great confrontation with her and Elizabeth. Basically, Elizabeth saying, "Please don't fuck my husband."
Basically, those are exactly the words. She
yes,
literally
verbatim,
says those words to her.
Don't fuck my husband.
Like, so
please do me the favor
straightforward.
of not fucking my husband. Which, like, I love Elizabeth. Let's just put it that way. She's just so great.
Yeah, well, she's so, what you see is what you get. Like, she is very, like, straightforward. She knows herself. Like, you know exactly what she's thinking at every moment.
Yeah, tact is not her strongest point. Yeah. Because that's, I mean, you know, literally Olive comes in to say, oh my God, it's so great to meet you. I'm TAing your class. Don't fuck my husband. Yeah. It's like, well, huh?
She's like, oh, okay. Yeah. And not good, because then Olive is like, all right, well then I'm not going to TA. Like, I feel ridiculously uncomfortable here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this sort of lays the groundwork for the introduction of a arc that we're going to have through the movie, which is William Moulton Marston's disc theory. And disc theory was his theory on, you know, kind of all human relations breaking down into 4 categories. And this is where we hit the first one of those, which is dominance. Yes. And so the intro of, you know, obviously Elizabeth just coming out swinging as a dominant force in this movie. That's kind of, you know, we get these great, we keep flashing back to him writing the words on the chalkboard. Mm-hmm. So we are now in dominance. Dominance starts off with a bang. Don't fuck my husband, making Olive cry.
Yeah.
Poor Olive. Poor Olive is going to be a running theme in this movie. And, you know, God bless Bella Heathcote. She's fantastic in this. She is able to just rip your heart out with her emotions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But I want to touch real quickly on one of those places where she's going to do that, which is this scene where she's talking to Elizabeth and Bill after the confrontation with Elizabeth. Yes. So Elizabeth is trying to apologize. And she says very clearly what I think we were commenting on when they were observing her from the stairs in the quad. She says, "Nobody ever sees me or hears me. It's just noise and hostility and lies." Ugh.
Yeah.
Olive.
Yeah. Ugh. Well, because she's so beautiful that it's like this student wants to especially learn from Elizabeth, as we find out later.
Is learn another 1928 euphemism that I'm not aware of?
She wants to study her. She wants
study
to learn from her.
God, they had such educational euphemisms back
they have a
in the
very
day.
educational relationship.
Good.
And the first thing people see when they look at her is sex.
Right.
Yeah, and she's like, I have a lot to say. I have a lot to learn. I have a lot to contribute.
She becomes an object, not a person, like immediately with everybody in her life. And yeah, it's heartbreaking, but it's also like so relatable, I think, for most women. I mean, regardless of anything else, I think the idea that you get lost in the reality of being a woman. Yeah. As opposed to being you as a person, I think is something that, probably we've all experienced at one time or another. So.
Especially in all these scenarios, like to be taken seriously, no matter what, as a woman.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So there's that, and that scene leads us into the other side of Elizabeth that I think is also an equal. We can talk about, yes, she's dominant, and yes, she can be a bitch, and yes, she has no tact. But she leads us out of that scene with this great quote of, how are you going to learn anything at all about life if you refuse to live it?
Yup.
Which, again, there's so much of this movie that, like, I want to dig into. They use that scene to jump us into a speakeasy, and I want to touch on the speakeasy real quick just because of this awesome penis envy discussion that they're having.
Oh my god, yes.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yes.
Drunken conversations about penis envy.
Which I feel like reminds me of me. Like, I feel like I've had that conversation when I've been drunk, just because I personally, like, whatever your personal preference is, it's fine. But I personally am like, penises are gross. I like having a vagina. Whatever. So, like, Elizabeth's whole thing being like, no, like, the actual physical appendage, like, I don't want.
And the metaphorical one, right, which I love Bill describing it as, like, it's not just penetrating the woman, but penetrating life. And I feel like you need that, like, Pitch Perfect gif of, like, not a good enough reason to use the word penetrate.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, God. And that's where, Olive commenting on how maybe she does have metaphorical penis envy, of envying men's position and ability to be seen different, in a way that's completely different than how she's always perceived by people. Yeah. I also love that they cover how she is descended from two of the most radical feminists in the world and yet was raised by nuns in a convent, which I also think is great because knowing what we're going to learn about Olive very soon, I love how, like, I feel like this makes a great argument for nature versus nurture.
Yes, like, and also like religious suppression. I feel like as like a good Catholic girl is always a little bit kinky. Let's be real.
Yeah, and boy, is she gonna get kinky.
Yep.
There will be some of that.
Yep.
Starting with, I think very soon after this is our sorority scene.
Oh my god. I feel like I just need to tell people. So Lee started writing this song before I had seen the movie. And she's like, I don't want to ruin anything for you, but do you think that you could, like, cut in some audio? Like, if it was maybe just, like, spanking and then some sounds after spanking?
Like a moan? Do you think you could cut that?
Do you think you could cut that in? I'm like, what?
I don't want to give anything away.
I watched the movie that night. I was like, okay, I need to watch immediately. And then I saw the scene. I was like, oh, okay. Yep, I get it now. I get it.
I had a vision,
Yeah.
So the sorority. Look, I went to a college that didn't have any Greek life, so I will leave it to other people to tell me how accurate.
I mean, I was in a sorority, and I feel like that might have been happening, but probably behind closed doors. We had a lot of lesbians.
You never paddled anyone?
So. Yeah, that wasn't really like a part of the sorority thing, but I'm just saying maybe two sisters might have, engaged in some activities.
So this sorority induction of pledges includes dressing them up in diapers, like babies.
Yep.
And if they speak out of turn, paddling them over your knee, like you do.
Yeah. Like you do when a baby misbehaves, Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what I love, too, about this whole thing of, we have this woman who's going to be, like, interrogating you about the sexual morals of your comic book. And, like, there was a lot of stuff in, like, the, 20s, 30s, 40s. Like, all the time, there's, like, everything always kind of has this underlying weird kink factor to stuff like this.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
well, because
like,
everything was, I feel like, it's like that.
repressed.
Repressed.
Yeah.
Everything was so repressed. So there's just like these two opposing ideas of human nature. Like humans love sex and love drinking and love like having a good time.
Yeah.
And then prohibition and like all of this like puritanical values that always is just an issue, I think, in America.
It all has to come out somewhere.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's coming out in Pledgemaster Olive, Discipline Your Charge. And boy, does she.
Oh, God. And we also have to say that Professor Marston and Elizabeth are watching.
Yes.
They were like hiding somewhere watching this whole thing as research.
Yeah. Again,
which I'm like,
research. Good euphemism.
Their research is very thinly veiled. I think there's a point, this is like much later, but I feel like I want to bring it up now. There's a point where Elizabeth says like, I'm sick of you reconciling your work with the desires of your cock.
Yeah. Justifying the whims of your cock with science.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's later in the movie, but God, what a great quote.
But like, what a great line. And also, I just think something to keep in mind.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think he's wrong, but it is true that like, he's like, this is all for science. Yet he's turned on and he starts touching his wife.
Right.
During that, I mean, they both are turned on by Olive spanking this
and
girl.
So is Olive. I mean, let's be real. She's not only a little bit into it.
Oh yeah, she's like, oh wait, I really like this. Interesting.
Yes. Although she's not quite willing to say it yet.
Oh yeah, but it definitely starts that little spark of, like all three of us have a little something in common here that we like might not have known before.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when they try to unpack that whole scene, Olive is she's not quite ready to step through that door yet, you know?
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't want to admit to being aroused by the disciplining. And they are all three of them having, in my notes, I just wrote, this is the most lesbian conversation ever. It's like, how did it make you feel? Well, how did it make you feel? Well, yes. I felt aroused. Well, let's discuss that and be open about, you know?
Yeah, why? Well, what are the exact things that led to that feeling?
It was so much processing. I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why this is such a good, like, queer film.
Yes.
Because it is, like, all about just, like, processing feelings, unpacking relationships. It's the whole point of the whole movie.
And the critical part of this scene is that they realize there might be a quantitative thing that you could measure to use for their lie detector. Yes. And that is your systolic blood pressure would rise. So she's watching Olive lie about being turned on by spanking this girl. And Elizabeth gets an idea to make their lie detector test. Also, they're such nerds. Like, you could fucking measure that. And I'm like, you're so excited about science.
You're so excited about measurements.
Yes.
Science.
Also, it gives us this really great quote from Bill where he says, your heart pumps a record of the truth, what a great line. Mm-hmm. Such a great line. So that's their lie detector creation. We get this great montage making the lie detector, working together, doing all these test runs and everything. One of a few excellent montages in the film.
Oh my God, yes. We will get to some others.
Also, I want us to touch real quick on the scene in the field with the airplanes.
Yes.
Which, I have a note. Oh, look, a dude we don't care about.
Yes, how many times does this happen? It reminds me of the dude from Carol.
Yes, that's what I was just thinking. He's like the same dude, where we're just like, hello, dude, please leave.
Yep.
Please
and
go
the thing
away.
is, every time I never remember their names.
Okay, here's the thing. I wrote down his name. We actually don't think we learn his name in this scene. We learn it later on.
Which is definitely, like, on purpose.
Yes, and the only reason that I do remember his name is because his name is Brant, and it is... the worst.
Yeah.
Apologies to any Brants who are listening, but come on.
Yep.
And also because it just makes me want to make a meme where I just have his picture along with the text. They're good queers, Brant. That's what I want to do.
Yes.
So there you go. We meet Brant. We don't get his name yet, but we definitely learn that he is just a giant
potato.
dud.
He is a potato.
He is a potato. Oh my god. Yes. Amazing. Yeah, he's the worst. He is also noticing, this is where we really start to see Olive, like, you know that that picture of Kristen Stewart staring at
Kate Blanchett, yes.
Kate Blanchett.
Of course.
That's basically this scene
Olive.
with Olive and Elizabeth. Like, she is just, you could, like, put little hearts over her eyes. That is how she's staring at Elizabeth for, like, this entire scene.
Yep.
It is obvious to us. It is obvious to everyone. She has this great line of, like, I think you're magnificent. Like, yeah, you do.
Yes, I love, well, that is one of my favorite parts of the movies when, of course it is, when basically the men leave and it's just the two women sitting, talking. Yeah.
Your favorite part of the movies are when the
Is
men
it?
go away?
I mean, there's definitely more favorite parts coming up.
Which, okay, sorry, while we're talking about the men going away, I do think there's something that I want to comment on that is so perfect. And I know it is actually, it's real. It's you know, historically accurate. I mean, it's not super historical here, but it is a real fact that Elizabeth Marston was born on the Isle of Man, which she explains to Olive in this scene. And I just think there's something so awesome about having one of the you know, two women, like half of the inspiration for Wonder Woman, who lives on an Isle of no
women.
men, to have been born on the Isle of Man. Like, I just think that's kind of awesome. There's just something so, like, perfect about that. I love it.
Yeah, especially for Elizabeth.
Yeah.
For sure.
The other thing that I have to shout out in this scene is Mount Holyoke.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
Of course Elizabeth is a moho.
Speaking of Mount Holyoke, this is an aside, but I was at karaoke the other day.
I love this already.
And I was in the bathroom. And you know, you just like overhear conversations in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Someone goes, why didn't we hang out when we were at Mount Holyoke? And she goes, probably because my ex. And I was like, what a gay conversation. I came out and I said that to them and they were like, haha, you're right.
And did you say, what year are you? Oh my God, do you know my podcast co-host?
I should have, but I was just like, you
know.
Quick joke and I got to get out of here.
Mohos everywhere. There's a lot of us in Boston, actually. Yep. I do miss the Boston moho scene, so.
Yep.
Good times, good times. Are we ready to jump to the next very important scene, which is testing the lie detector?
Hell yes.
Dun, dun, dun. So, Bill Marston, hooked up, got straps around his chest, got things on his arm, he is all ready. I love that they always do these things in, like, it's the middle of the night, pitch black. You know, they have this kind of, like, dark mood lighting as they test these things.
Oh, yeah. And it's, the lie detector itself is, like, so sexual. Like, maybe it's just because of that, like, their interaction, but they make it such a, like, a sexually charged thing.
Yeah, right? It's like, it's almost like some of the things, because don't they have something that goes around their leg? And I'm like, it's literally like, you know, doing the garter at the wedding and stuff.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Yeah, it's like
it's very physical.
Yeah, and it's a lot of like, you know, setting the scene for like the ropes to come down the line of like, let me tie this around your chest. Like, so testing the lie detector, and he is just making things up left and right. They are getting a ton of false positives, and Olive suggests maybe the lies aren't meaningful enough. You know, we need to get to serious stuff. Whoo! Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
So they start getting some more serious questions from Elizabeth, and she decides to just, you know,
go for it.
Knock it out of the park with, are you in love? Well, first she asks, you know, does he love his wife? Does he love her?
Yes.
Which he does. Good man.
Great, check.
Good. But then, are you in love with Olive Byrne?
And that lie detector goes freaking wild.
Oh, damn. Yeah. I mean, it is just unavoidable that he loves both of them.
Yep.
And, you know, of course, Elizabeth is like pulling no punches by doing that. So that happens. She walks out with Olive hot on her heels.
Oh, God. This part got me so badly, Lee. I was just like, oh my God, she's going to come out and like apologize and like something. But then when she is like, you're stupid. I'm not in love with him.
Yeah.
I'm in love with you. I'm like, wait, what?
That scene still is just like,
Yeah.
I have so many feelings about it. Like, then because she is, like, she's so, you can see it in Olive's, everything about her physical, like, how she's playing this scene is just, she just wants so badly for Elizabeth to love her back.
Yes.
You know, like, you can just see that, where you can see that she's like, I'm hurting you, and I know that, and I don't want to, and it's not about him, it's these feelings I have for you, and, like, also just goes for it, like, lays one on her, which I love. Olive, in some ways, it's funny, like, Olive kind of has this really interesting dichotomy where she is very much the submissive in that relationship, which, you know, G-String King will comment on later on, but also sometimes, like,
Takes control.
Steps in and takes control when she needs to.
It's strange. Like, I feel like Elizabeth is hesitant, and it's hard to figure out why, but a part of me thinks, like, for all of her feminist stuff, she is uncomfortable with gayness.
Yeah.
You know? Like, to her, because even to her, it's like, first thought is, this is a hot girl, she's gonna fuck my husband. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's her first thought, is she's concerned about the heterosexual dynamic. I don't think it even crosses her mind about herself and Olive.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because I think there's just a lot of things in which Elizabeth, despite being open about them, is a little bit more repressed about some of the sexual parts of their relationship, you know? And so it's really, what I love about it, though, is there's a lot of places where she's not going to be the person to take that first step. She needs someone else to do that for her. Like, so she needs to know that someone's going to be there to catch her. And then as soon as she knows they are, she is, like, 100% going to go for it, you know?
Yeah.
But it takes her that she needs that extra little sense of security, I think. And what I love about that is how much they play that in each other, that when she needs that, that's what Olive's going to give her.
Yes.
You know? But for now, she is not quite there.
Not there. Yeah, not there.
Despite the excellent kiss, which they are very clearly both into, Elizabeth's going to push it away at this point. I love that we jump back to the hearing real quick with, you know, the woman describing all of the very overtly homoerotic things in the Wonder Woman comics. And she's like listing them off. And I'm like, this woman gets it.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, so can I read all these?
Yeah, right?
Where can I find these comics? Thank you.
Yeah, she also has, you know, she comes out with this, lesbianism is an emotional illness. And I'm like, maybe she doesn't get it.
Yeah. She's doing it for me, but she's not doing it for me right now.
I
you
know.
Yeah.
Disappointing. She's like so close. She's so close.
Yeah. She definitely is dominant.
Yeah.
That's the thing. She's talking about this shit. I'm like, you would like it. Horrible. Sorry. Forget I said that.
No, let's not, because you know how we could find out is, like, hook her up to a lie detector test. Because next up is Elizabeth's turn on the lie detector. Woo! We're all gonna take turns. It's great, and I love it. And I'm gonna hold my thoughts about this until we get to Olive's turn on the lie detector test. Elizabeth's going next. She is hooked up. She is talking to her husband, who is trying to help her unpack her real feelings about all of this. Yep. Just as a side note, because one of the times through, I did watch this with Kelsey, and we get to this scene, and she just goes, we should get a lie detector test, then we could have real conversations.
Oh my God!
Because they kind of use the lie detector test in the movie a lot to, like, you know, here's an excuse to get to the bottom of your real feelings, which, like, I just think is amazing.
They're, like I said, they are so brutally honest with each other.
Yes.
Because they legitimately have to be, because this lie detector test will say you're not being honest.
And I kind of love it. You know, like, I love that idea of just, it's like radical honesty.
Yeah.
And I think there's something about that that's so beautiful in a lot of ways. I think it's the same thing as, you know, for anyone who has watched Sense8, it's part of the whole underlying thing in Sense8 as well, right? Like, what would it mean to be connected in such a way that you cannot hide your thoughts from people?
Yeah.
That there are people who know everything that you are thinking, that you are feeling, that you can't have secrets and you can't lie. It's great. Like, when you watch that happen and you're watching these real connections and these very brutally honest things coming out of people and being out in the open, like, it's just, it's something.
Yeah. Every single lie detector scene was done so well, to the point that, like, I could feel my heart rate going up.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You felt like you were, like, in that seat with them, being
Your
like, oh my God, what? Yeah, like, what are they going to say? Crazy.
You're like, say they asked me if I was aroused by this.
Yeah, I'm like, and the answer would be yes.
Yes. So, and that's kind of the takeaway here is, you know, getting Elizabeth to admit that she is kind of interested in this. She's not ready yet, right?
Yeah.
Because she still internalizes a lot of the shame around all of this. And that's her whole, like, the world won't let this happen. I love Bill. He's such a, you know, he is also such an important part of this relationship in terms of just, the world can't stop us.
Yeah.
He just feels so strongly about love and the power of love and the importance of love. And it's very endearing. I really, really like that. Mm-hmm. But what do we need for Elizabeth to change her mind? I think we need, well, Olive, but also some inducement.
Yes.
We have moved into our next step in disc theory. The next part is inducement. And so something has got to give. So we first are going to try to be friends.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Yeah, that's going to work great, I think.
No.
Let's all be friends. Let's double date with you and Brant.
Ugh,
Brant.
Yes. Is this the scene where he's like, whatever you guys are doing, like, stop it? Yeah.
Yes. This is the scene where they go on this double date and Olive still, you know, full on heart eyes at Elizabeth the entire time. You long for an unconventional life.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's like one of those, like, weird games you play in high school where you're like, never have I ever, or whatever.
Right,
like, all those, like, games where you're like, I'm going to tell you what you feel. You have a crush on me, don't you? Like, no, you don't.
Right.
You're in high school, so you're like, you have a crush on him, not me.
Yep. And Brant can see exactly who has a crush on who.
Yep.
And kind of calls Elizabeth out on it. You know, like, what are your intentions?
Yep.
Towards Olive, like, kind of accuses her of
Seducing her.
Yeah, like, kind of, you know, ruining
corrupting her.
Corrupting this beautiful, pure flower that Olive is, which is, like, so funny.
Just not, like, you literally don't know her at all.
Right. And sort of bars her from seeing them again, you know, tries to forbid her from spending any time with them outside of the classroom. That lasts real long.
Yep.
Because she immediately shows back up in their dark nighttime research study.
Oh, God.
To hook herself up to a lie detector. Right? Because she walks in, what are you doing here? I don't know. Let's hook you up to a lie detector. Mm-hmm. And this is where I want to unpack some of why I love the lie detector scenes. Because, you know, we haven't really commented on it yet, but this is really where we're going to see the start of this relationship between the three of them. And Professor Marston, I mean, in addition to just being a wonderfully queer film, is one of the few movies that exists, I think, that's going to have a beautiful and positive polyamorous relationship.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so realistic. This was real. This is a real story.
Well, let's be real and say at least that their family, like, descendant family members do sort of disagree with some of the movie's events.
Oh, yeah?
There are things that I think it's going to be hard to say are not accurate. Like they did, Olive and Elizabeth did live together for the rest of their lives, as far as I know. And yeah, I think like their like grandchildren or something kind of came out after the movie was released, saying like none of this is real.
What do you mean none of this is real?
Right. So they sort of dispute some of the accounts or anything. So some of this, the world may never know all of the exact details, but it does seem like there was probably a relationship.
Yes. All right. So even if these are not real facts, in terms of the movie,
yes,
I think I do love how they treat a polyamorous relationship, because
absolutely.
I was at Lee's house for She Sings, and I was reading The Ethical Slut, which is, for those of you who don't know, a book about polyamory and open relationships and all that kind of stuff. One of the things that they talk about the most is that in polyamorous relationships, you need to be so honest. And I think that's like the main crux of this film, because it centers around honesty. Mm-hmm. They are able to have a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And of course, there's jealousy. Like, we see all that stuff happen. But, like, they have to be brutally honest.
Right.
And so that's, like, the only way that this whole polyamorous relationship can function well.
I almost feel like there isn't actually any real jealousy. I think if there's jealousy, because I'm assuming you mean Elizabeth.
Yes.
And I don't think Elizabeth is actually jealous. I think it's misplaced desire. And I think the only thing that she would be jealous of is that she knows that it would be easier for Bill to act on his desires in this case than for her to.
Yes.
It's going to be easier for him to desire another woman than her.
Than for her.
And I think it's a lot of her trying to unpack that and accept that desire and willingness to act on that desire, more so than its actual jealousy.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. I think the honesty and the importance of honesty and communication in their relationship is so crucial to everything in this movie. And the other thing that I love about it is that, when they hook Olive up to this lie detector and they just lay it all on the line, like Bill's asking her these questions: do you love me? Do you love my wife? Do you want to have sex with me? And do you want to have sex with my wife? One thing that I love about that is that they separate those two facts, right? That this is not just like, oh, we all like fucking each other.
Yeah,
like,
do you want to have a threesome? Like, it's more,
right. Like, they are all in love with each other. And they present that in the film in a way that makes it a fact. Like, you are hooked up to a lie detector test. You cannot lie about this. This is not just a sexual thing of like they just all want to do it. Like, they are in love with each other, and we are presenting that in a way that you cannot argue with. And I love that. Like, that's such an important way to do it, to really present polyamory in a way that I think is different than how it always gets seen.
Yes.
And that's what they do here. They hook her up and they make her step through it. What I love about it also is like she tries to say no every time and like just keeps trying to lie, and the little thing is
keeps
like
getting worse and worse. It's like you're lying even more. Yeah.
But she's like so valiantly trying to lie about it and failing so miserably because of course she does. She loves them both and she definitely wants to have sex with them both, which like, let's jump into that, shall we?
Well, I want to say one more thing before we finish this slow conversation, just because I think there is a myth that to be in love with one person takes away love from another person.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Or even, like, let's say, this is a big thing in The Ethical Slut, where they say, like, it's similar to if you are a parent and you have 3 children. If you love one of your kids, does that mean you don't love the other 2?
Right.
No. And we very easily understand that when it comes to children, when it comes to family, when it comes to friends.
Yeah.
But in the context of sexual and intimate relationships, we as a society, like, can't wrap our heads around it.
Yeah.
We're like, no, that is impossible.
Yeah.
So that, and I think it is great.
Be.
Yeah, it is great that they put it in such a way that they're like, both are true.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And as we head into Thanksgiving time, I want to start by thanking my wife, Kelsey, who has not only listened to just about every episode of this podcast for 8 seasons now, but who also is the only reason I'm able to make time to record it every week. She takes the kids, gets them dinner, and gets them ready for bed just so that Ellie and I can come on and yell about gay things into each other's faces for an hour. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people you're grateful for in your life, including yourself. I've been in therapy for a long time now, and one thing that's so important about therapy is how it teaches you to be more intentional. And being intentional about gratitude and how to show that to the people you appreciate is just one of the many benefits that I've gotten from therapy over the years. If you've been thinking of starting therapy, consider giving BetterHelp a try. I know how hard it can be to find time for regular therapy, and BetterHelp is designed to be flexible and convenient for your schedule. You can fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to start being more intentional about gratitude in your life, visit betterhelp.com/lezhangout today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lezhangout.
Let's hang out.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can be a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help you find options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify, and when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
Yeah.
But let's jump into the sex scene.
Let's do some sex scenes.
Let's get into the sex scene.
Because what a sex scene. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
We start out in the theater, I'm going to comment on the theater real quick just because Olive walked past it before and saw a lovely, Greek show about Diana the Huntress and whatever. So the costuming is going to become important in the Wonder Woman development, but currently the costume is important in the roleplay development because, Olive runs away, Elizabeth chases after her, they kiss again. Oh, it's so good.
And Elizabeth initiates this time, which is really important.
So important. Such a good kiss. Bill walks, in to join them as well, and they sort of get that, the handout invitation.
Yes. Oh God.
And God, that music starts right as Olive, and I love that it's Olive who leads the way into starting this relationship with the three of them, because of course it's Olive.
Yes.
So she starts walking up the stairs to go backstage as that super sultry feeling good starts coming on, and oh my Lord.
It is I feel like I'm on drugs when I'm watching that scene, which is like, I think the point. You know what I mean? It's like one of them is on top, another one is like it's like just keeps switching off, like, and they keep
the
rotating
filming,
roles,
the
and
lighting,
and then like the flowiness of all the Greek. It's just so like flowy and like
it's beautifully filmed.
Yeah,
it's beautifully put together. I also love there's some really awesome, super subtle nods to the comic books. So, you know, Bill is kind of dressed up in this very Steve Trevor get up with the hat.
Yes.
And Elizabeth is wearing a cheetah print coat, which I'm assuming is supposed to be a nod to Cheetah, who's one of the, you know, nemesis, a Wonder Woman nemesis in the comics. So they just, you know, they have this kind of great role play going on.
Well, and then of course the bondage is like very nod to the lasso of truth.
Yes.
And like Wonder Woman's always tying people up.
Yep. Yeah. So there you go. We have this really, really excellent sex scenes. We certainly love well done queer sex scenes because we get few of them. So we have started our relationship. They are not subtle about it, which Brant kindly points out.
Yeah. It's like they're in such honeymoon phase, but it's so they're like in public just being like, like we're in love. And everyone's like, well, that's not really, even if it wasn't polyamorous, she's a student and they're professors.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So obviously not great.
Not great, Bob. And we just have this like rapid succession of consequences from this. So starting with Brant and Olive breaking off the engagement, which, you know,
I don't think she cares that
Brant.
much. Yeah.
Don't let the door hit you.
Not a horrible consequence.
Not a horrible consequence, but a consequence nonetheless. So Brant's out. Also, Bill and Elizabeth are out. They've been fired.
Yeah.
Whoops. And then we have this great scene of, you know, Elizabeth again trying to say, like, we can't do this. This isn't going to work. It has to stop. And Olive coming out with, I'm pregnant.
Yep.
Whoops again.
Well, that really throws something in there. Whose is it? Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Is it Elizabeth's?
So now they have to try to navigate this, you know, what does this mean that she's pregnant? And what I love Bill immediately being like, well, you know, you're responsible too.
Yes.
To Elizabeth, or like you'd be responsible
if you
right, and
which exactly. I do, I love that too. Which is just like it's ours. It's both of ours.
Yeah. Also, I love it because I feel like Bill's interpretation of this thing is I wanted to know like what's the opposite of penis envy, because I think he's having that right about now.
Yeah, where he's like, you know? I wish that I could just have sex and
and also like he's like I wish you were responsible. In the way that I am responsible. Like, he's trying to make it be that way. So, so now they are jobless and pregnant, and we jump to the next step in our disc theory, which is compliance. For now, what they have to do is comply to a world that does not want to make it easy for them.
Yep. And they're all trying to do random odd jobs. Elizabeth keeps going on all these job interviews for jobs that she is far too qualified for.
Oh my God. Yes.
I mean, same with Professor Marston, except he's trying to do his own freelance thing, basically.
Yeah, I'm gonna write books on being popular. It's just they're trying to make it work. Olive becomes the housewife, and they have a baby. Oh, and I mean, I think the baby kind of becomes the clincher in that of like we have to make this work. You know?
Yeah,
we have to make this work. We have to protect our children. And we have to come up with an excuse, a lie that will let us live in this world, right? Which they state very clearly in Bill's hearing with the woman commenting on Wonder Woman's secret identity. And they have this great, she has to hide her true self from man's world, which, like, again, what a mood.
Yep.
Don't we all? And so that's what they do. They come up with a lie. That's what they tell their neighbors is, Olive's husband died and now she lives with the Marstons.
Yeah, and occasionally they have lots of sex and she sleeps in our bed, but, it's just because...
I love when they sleep in the bed together.
I know, when they sleep in the same bed, it's so cute. When she just, like, snuggles right in the middle of them and they have this, like, little sandwich. It's so cute.
They're too much.
Yeah, they're cute.
Also, so when they meet that woman that's their neighbor and they're trying to introduce all the kids and whose kid is whose.
Yeah.
Olive says Bern is my son. Her name is Bern. Is his name Bern?
I guess so.
I don't get it.
That's weird.
Okay, everyone. I have done some quick research because I was just curious about that. Her last name is Bern. She named her son Bern, which also weird. But all of her children, all of Olive's children, have the last name Marston.
Huh.
So his name was Bern Marston. And so I'm going to say, however much their family wants to dispute this account of events, something was going on.
Yeah, no matter what. Definitely those kids were Olive's and those kids were Elizabeth's. And whatever you want to say happened between Olive and Elizabeth, we're going to keep that like this.
Sure.
Yeah.
So whether they had the cute as fuck domestic life that they portray in this little montage, which I adore. It's where we get them climbing into bed together. It's where we get one of my favorite scenes is Elizabeth coming home from work. She takes the hat off. She kisses the wife like, honey, I'm home. They do like this great little like gender bent like 1940s scene, which I just think is the best. Yeah. It's so great. Also, I think this is where they have the scene where he's playing with the boys and the planes. They give They give him the glass plane, which I think is also supposed to be a little subtle nod to the Wonder Woman's invisible plane.
Yes.
So he gets a glass plane, which I think is great. So I think it was great. I think they did a really nice job of weaving in these little elements everywhere. And I think what we're jumping to next is we're gonna get into the kinky shit in this movie.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. So Bill's walking home one day, walks past a store front display window with like a,
some outfit, some little
some
seductress outfit
stuff in the window, and he's like, oh, what? Walks in to meet the owner and sort of try to buy a burlesque outfit for his wife for Halloween. Like
of course.
you do.
Yeah, just a little costume.
Yeah, a little role play for Halloween. And I love the conversation that they have, one, because I love when this guy is like, are you on the Vice Squad? Like, to me, it always sounds like those things where people are like, are you a cop? Because legally you have to tell me.
Yes.
So they have that kind of conversation, and the end result is, in contrast to Elizabeth coming home from work with like, honey, I'm home, Bill comes home from the burlesque shop with like, honey, I brought porn.
I brought some kinky shit. Let's do it.
He brings home so much porn, and they're like looking at it like, Bill, this is porn. And he's like, no, it's disc theory. And they're like, okay, well, disc theory has
always been porn. Yeah, you realize disc theory is pornographic.
Yes.
We thought you knew this the whole time, Bill.
Bill, how did you not know? It's all porn all the time. And so they expand on their porn by going back to the burlesque shop to watch him tie a woman up with rope.
Yep.
And
then he's like, oh, well, let's try with Olive. Yes. And Elizabeth is like, no, Olive, you don't have to do this. Like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And she's like, I want to.
Yeah, Elizabeth is super not into the ropes.
Yeah, she's not into it.
What I love about it is she is especially not into watching a man tie up a woman.
Yes.
Right? Like when Olive is like, I don't mind. And she's like, why the fuck don't you mind? Like, she is not here for it. And, kind of has to run out of the room, process a little, we have to unpack our feelings a little more because they are like the gayest. Unpack her feelings a little more. While she's doing that, Olive just goes all out. She is like, let's put me in an outfit, let's put a freaking tiara on my head, let's get me some rope, and let's place me in this such fortunate lighting and mural behind me.
Oh, yeah. Like, let's have this be completely magical.
Yes, so that when Elizabeth walks back in, it is like, in like a cartoon, if someone like screeches to a halt.
Yes.
That's basically what Elizabeth does. She is like, hold the phone.
This is hot.
I might be into this.
Yeah. She's like, and are you aroused, Elizabeth? No.
No. Yes. And again, here's why I love Elizabeth. Because Elizabeth like fights and fights and fights and fights. And then as soon as she has Olive there to catch her, she is like 100% all in.
Yeah.
And so when she goes up and asks Olive, she's like, is this what you want? And the second that Olive says yes, holy shit, you get this. Then put your hands behind your back. And, like, I'm pretty sure Olive has an orgasm. Like, on
immediately.
command when she says that. Like, I'm wondering if part of the audition for Bella Heathcote was to be like, can you look like you just creamed your pants? Like,
and she's like, oh, easy, got it.
But, like, in a really classy, like, elegant way.
Yeah.
Because she does.
She kills it.
Yeah, so she does put her hands behind her back. What I also love about this scene is, like, I'm pretty sure Elizabeth must have not been paying attention to any of the rope tying instructions because she literally just, like, walks around her in a circle.
Yeah.
To, like, tie her up. She's like, I'm just gonna, like, wrap it around you.
I'm just gonna do how I want. So, yeah.
It doesn't matter, though, that it's, like, you know, not the perfect technique. They are both very into it.
Yes.
Bill is very into it.
Of course.
It's something.
It's so, it's pretty great. It's pretty great.
It's
I
fine.
was like,
Ellie and I are just going to fan ourselves a little bit over here. It's fine. It's all fine.
This movie was, if you could put a lie detector on me right now, whatever. It's like, this movie got me hot and bothered. Let's be real.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
The end result of that is somehow Bill decides he wants to write a comic book. It's, you know.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Suprema, the Wonder Woman, he pitches it to Elizabeth and Olive. I love their description of the comic book that he wrote, where it is, like, the most ridiculous thing in the world. Like,
yes.
It's an Amazon. She lives on an island with no men. Paradise Island. And
of course it's paradise.
Of course it's Paradise Island. And I love Elizabeth's description of all of her friends and helpers are sorority girls who have spanking parties, and everybody fights Nazis and rides in an invisible plane. And he's like, yes, exactly.
Yes. She's like, that sounds ridiculous.
Oh my God. So he does. He writes this incredibly kinky sexual comic. I think one of the best things in the movie is how they keep cutting in montages.
The different, like,
of, you know, just panel after panel of the original Wonder Woman comics, because holy shit,
so much kink.
There is so much kink, it's ridiculous. And of course there is, because he keeps getting these requests to, like, you gotta cut the kink, and
he's like, oh, I doubled down, I tripled down.
I tripled
it.
And
you're like, oh my God.
It's amazing. Like, I love.
He's like, kids need to know about dominance at an early age. They
Yes.
need to know the disc theory.
Oh, like, it's so good.
Like,
so
dude,
he
give it up. Give it
doubles
up.
down, triples down. He is like, you know, fuck your rules. I'm gonna put as much kink as I can in this fucking comic, and he does.
He does.
Also, they put as much kink as they can in their lives, so they have this great like, call out sick from work and let's stay home and, like, have sexy roleplay kinky sex. Like,
yep,
I love it. Except, know who doesn't love it?
I know, our nosy little neighbor who comes in bringing them freaking cookies or whatever. I'm like, you like, why would you open their door without anyone answering?
Right. My note on this scene, just in all caps, just says, maybe try knocking, Cheryl.
Like, yes, seriously.
Like, who the fuck walks into someone's house, you know?
Yep.
So she does walk into their house. She does see them all very obviously having sex with each other.
Yeah. Well, my thing too is, like, well, I get it. They can have sex wherever they want in their house. But of course, like, you're having sex right near the front door.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Also, like, you couldn't have had sex on the second floor bedroom.
Right, like, go in your bedroom and, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But, you know, for the sake of the film.
They get discovered. It is going to bring their world crashing down. You know, the kids are getting beaten up at school.
Yep.
Which, like, when he walks home and it just... Your little heart drops.
I know.
So they have to go fight with the neighbors, which also what I love about the fight with the neighbors scene is, like, so Bill's there with Olive and Elizabeth arguing with the husband across the street.
And then two women.
Who's there with two women?
Yeah, and you're like, who are they? Are they both your people too?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, they don't explain it at all, and I didn't really get it.
Yeah.
I don't know. So Bill gets beaten up by the neighbor, and then Olive's gonna rip my heart out again.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth, again, just not quite brave enough on her own, kicks Olive out.
Yeah, she can't do it. She said Olive is the root of all of our problems. Olive has to go.
Away. I can't. And you can you can see Olive knows it's coming, knows what's going to happen, and once again is just devastated by Elizabeth not being willing to be as strong and as brave as Olive is about these things, you know?
Yep.
And it's a lot. It's a lot. They send her away. They kind of have this,
and then when she gets in the car and Bill's like, don't go
this
or whatever, and she's like, you're not the person that needs to tell me not to go.
Right. He says don't do this, and she says, I didn't do this.
Yep.
And it's like so real.
Oof,
it's so accurate.
So rough.
So Olive ripping my heart out once again. And that's what they try to do. They try to make it work as like almost, I mean, basically it is. It's like a divorced life.
Family,
So she's dropping the kids off on weekends and, trying to make her own life. And they do that until Bill leaves the hearing. So we have now caught up to the present day from the beginning of the movie. Bill leaving the hearing and sort of collapsing and getting rushed to the hospital. Which, of course, is the catalyst for Elizabeth to call Olive. And call Olive back into her life.
And let her know she needs her. She needs her. Can you please just come?
God.
Yeah.
So one thing real quick that I want to call out before we get to the scene where they all, talk through it is just there's this beautifully filmed sequence when he's in his hospital bed and they have this sort of backlit, blurry, silhouetted scene where he's looking at the doorway and you see it's the two of them, but they're walking in one, like in a row, like one behind the other. And so you sort of have this one woman silhouette that breaks into the two of them, which is like so emblematic of like,
it's
their
beautiful
role in this. But yes, so they need to beg Olive to take them back, which Bill's more than happy to do.
Yeah, Bill's like, all right, on my knees. I'm ready for this.
He's like, here we go, let's beg.
Yep. And Elizabeth is obviously not, because she's Elizabeth. She doesn't get on her knees.
Yes.
Maybe she does, but not in,
But she doesn't not beg. Submissive in this relationship.
Yes, she is not submissive.
It is a lot harder for her to put herself in that position.
Admit that she's weak. Admit that Olive is her weakness.
Yes. And that is, Bill is just pushing and pushing and pushing. I love it because you can see him. He's like, get on your knees. And Elizabeth's like, I'm not getting on my knees. And Olive's like, yeah, get on your knees.
Yeah. She's like, oh, okay.
You can kind of see her, like, you can kind of see her being the, like, submissive who's like, ooh, is this what being the top is like? Kind of like this.
Switching some roles over here.
Elizabeth finally does give in, and there's this beautiful, like, I thought love wasn't enough. It has to be enough. Yep. I can't live without you. I know. So much.
It's so beautiful.
And then Olive, I love, is so honest because I think she has this one line that really kind of wraps up everything about what Olive is in this movie, where she just says, like, through tears, I want you to love me for all of my days.
Yes,
it's like, that's it. That's all she wants. And that's all she's ever wanted.
And then she does.
Like, she just wants Elizabeth, I think especially, to love her. And for that to be enough. And it's like, oh my God. It's so much. And she's, like, so honest when she says it, and it just...
It breaks your heart.
It's a lot. And that's...
But the beautiful thing about it is that is true.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's why we end on submission. It's why submission comes last, because that's what Elizabeth
has to
do is to be willing to submit.
Yes.
And we have this, final scene as they're all walking away of, kind of laying out the text on the screen saying, this is Bill Marston passes away. Olive and Elizabeth live together for the rest of their lives. And then the closing credits, we get all of these photos, like actual photos of the three of them, inventing the lie detector, testing the lie detector. And then the one photo of the two of them as little old ladies together.
I know, it's so cute.
Oh my God, my heart.
In a Boston marriage for all
yes.
intents and purposes.
And they're so adorable. And they lived together for the rest of their days. It's
so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. It's a lot.
This movie is so great because it's so beautiful and it's so kinky and it's so, you know what I mean? Like, it's like every, like...
Yes.
Like,
yeah. It's a roller coaster.
What is normal? A normal person would be like, oh, or normal, quote unquote. Right. So depraved, polyamory and kink and whatever. But it's about love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real takeaway here. And it's why I love it, because especially, I mean, it's still such an important message now, you know? Like, it was an important message in 1928. It is an important message 90 years later, you know, that it does. Love has to be enough. And I know. I feel like this is like so much more serious than we usually get, but like it's so real, you know? Yeah. And I think it's something that so many of us still have to navigate and still have to learn. Because there still is a lot of shame and a lot of judgment and a lot of stuff that you kind of just have to be willing to say, but this is a good enough reason, you know? Yep. And that you have to be able to say. I mean, that's the thing, is like, it was incredibly difficult for them, you know, to do that. It is still incredibly difficult. I mean, we get emails and messages from listeners all the time who are still not able to live openly. Yep. Not out, don't feel safe, don't feel comfortable. And that is still such a reality, you know? And so I think like having a movie like this that is so well done and is so honest and is so open about these things, both from the queer sense and from the polyamorous sense, I think both of those still face a lot of shame and judgment in our societies. It's beautiful. It's really, really touching. And it's just so important to have something like this out here, which is why we wanted to do a Lez-ssential on this. It's just, what a great movie.
It's such a great film. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, see it. If you have seen it, watch it again.
Watch it again and again and again.
Watch it again with our drinking game to lighten up the mood.
Yes! Oh my God.
Right? So here are my rules for the drinking game. Number 1, every time we talk about one of the letters of the disc theory. So anytime he writes on the board, right? Dominance. Blah, blah, blah. Wait. Anytime they lie on the lie detector test, that will get you pretty drunk.
Yeah, right? Especially that scene with Olive. Good Lord.
Yes. Anytime one of them is tied up.
Nice.
Which, where that will also get you pretty drunk. Anytime there's a 3-way situation. So I say situation because I mean like sexual or otherwise.
Yeah.
So anytime like the 3 of them are having their kinky sex, anytime the 3 of them snuggle in bed.
Nice.
Because I just love that moment. Anytime Elizabeth says men suck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Done. Do it. Anytime Elizabeth complains about men.
Yes, for sure. We are drinking. Anytime a feminist icon is mentioned.
Yes.
So basically when Ethelbern and Margaret Sanger are mentioned, but they get mentioned a few times.
Yeah.
In the movie. Anytime Olive cries so that we can make ourselves feel a little bit better.
Yeah, we need a little something to lift our spirits.
And then anytime we see a plane. So the big plane that they fly, or those little glass planes.
The little planes. Oh, they're cute.
Yes. Those are all of our drinking game
shout
rules.
out to the Wonder Woman plane.
And if you do the drinking game, please let us know. We always love hearing from you.
Oh my God.
And knowing if you survive.
Nice.
Godspeed.
I think, Ellie, it might be time.
For Q and Gay?
For some Q and Gay.
Let's do it.
Q and Gay.
Okay, question 1, Ellie. Pick one of the following: domination, inducement, submission, or compliance.
Oh, man. I'm totally going to have to say submission, giving away my life.
There you go.
Woo! My mic just hit me in the face. All right, I feel like I'm going to leave that in there.
Your mic's trying to dominate you. It's fine.
Yeah, even my mic, they were like, oh, you want to submit? Okay, I'm going to say submission. All right. Here's my question for you, Lee.
Okay.
Would you be good at tricking a lie detector test? Yes or no?
Here's what I'm going to say. I am an excellent liar.
All right.
I don't know if you've ever played, like, you know those games, like The Resistance, or I think there's one that's called, like, Secret Hitler.
I know what you're
something.
talking about, where you have to be a spy and then you...
Yes.
Yeah.
I am really good at those games. I don't know if I could fool a lie detector test, but I do seem to be able to fool humans.
All right.
So I don't know what that says about me.
That's okay, Lee.
But I'm a pretty good liar.
Nice. You're an actress.
Yes. I mean, it does have to do with a theater background, 100%.
Yes.
Okay. Question 3. Best Angela Robinson Lez-ssential, Debs or Professor Marston?
Oh my God, that's so hard, Lee.
I know. I'm not pulling any punches either.
They're very different. This one we just recorded, but I really like it. I think it went well. So
Okay.
Professor Marston.
Professor Marston, there you go.
Yeah. All right, Lee.
Okay.
Here's your question. Are you in love with my wife?
Oh, God. No.
Yes or no?
I am not to say anything bad about
I mean, I don't have a wife,
your
but I had to use
partner.
I had to use the same wording. I feel like I
she
still want to
seems
write
great.
it. Like we need to put it on Twitter. And you can interpret it however you want.
However you want. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Favorite canonically queer female superhero? Wonder Woman, Batwoman, Thunder, or Mystique?
Oof, I love Mystique. I think
know,
she's
right?
so gorgeous.
Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, Jennifer Lawrence and Rebecca Romijn. So
Yeah.
in the movies.
Yeah.
And she's just a badass. All about Mystique.
So I have another question. So I'm going to take over the last question spot. Just because I think we have to ask. What would you choose? A normal life, quote, normal life, or an unconventional life?
Unconventional life, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Obviously. Here we are,
Nice.
Lee.
Nice.
Yes. And remember, you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q&A questions on our Twitter at Let's Hang Out Pod.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 well, yeah.
We absolutely love hearing from all of our listeners, and we love building this community. So we just want to take an opportunity every episode to shout out some things that we loved that we've heard lately.
Yes. And one of those things is on our Instagram. So we have these Wee Moon planners. They're basically like
a calendar.
It's a calendar
planner.
and planner, but it also goes along with the moon signs and astrology, which, of course, lesbians love astrology. So I posted on our Instagram story the date for our live show and then a page of my astrological sign, Pisces, my year in review.
Wait, I didn't know you're also a Pisces.
Yes, I am a Pisces.
Oh my God,
are
we're
you
both
a Pisces?
I am.
Wait, what, Lee?
OMG. We're both
Oh my
Pisces.
God, how have we not... Have we known this before? People
I
are going to be like,
didn't know
guys, you
this.
talked about this on episode 5. We're going to be like, no, we didn't.
Well, I don't think we did.
I guess we haven't, but
So
we were
there you
both
go.
Pisces. Did you know that Amy and Ellen are also both Pisces?
That's amazing.
Yes.
So let's start a club. Okay, cool.
Yeah, clearly we're doing well. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Brianna Taylor on Instagram because she DM'd us asking for her year at a glance for Cancer.
Yes.
And Pisces and Cancer are very compatible. So
are they?
That's all I'm saying.
Excellent.
I just feel like lesbians love astrology.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to shout that out.
Which, if you do, you should get one of these Wee Moon planners because it will hook you up.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. And as always, we want to thank our top tier patrons, our Pisces friends, Amy and Ellen.
As well as some of the others, Pisces or not, of our Lesbian Jesus patrons. So Kayla Kelly,
Lizette Stye,
Tanya Ferguson,
Jess Klaus,
Danny Griswold,
and Michelle Ray Thomas.
Thank you so much to all of you.
Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Let's Hang Out Pod.
You can email us at letshangoutpod@gmail.com.
Or you can check out our website at letshangoutpod.com.
And make sure that you subscribe on whatever you use to listen to podcasts. That way you will get new episodes as soon as they are available.
We're also posting on our YouTube channel every other Thursday this season, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/letshangoutpod.
If you want to help support the podcast, there's a couple different ways that you can do that. The first one is totally free, totally easy. Rate and review us on iTunes. It just helps more people find the podcast.
And another way to help to make us hit our 4th goal, you guys are crazy, is to donate to our Patreon at bit.ly/lespatreon. You get access to some cool perks like viewing parties for our Lez-ssentials.
Yes.
We just had our viewing party for Professor Marston. Super fun, as always. And we would love to see more of you at our next one. So you can do that at bit.ly/lespatreon.
You can also check out our store at bit.ly/lezshop. We have tees, we have tanks, we have totes, we have mugs, we have baseball tops, we have all sorts of good stuff. Check it out. Keep an eye out. We have a lot of sales going on right now during the holidays. So if you are, waiting for a good excuse, I guarantee there's going to be a sale coming up or that's happening now. So keep an eye out and go and buy some swag.
Yes. And we are also doing a campaign for the Trevor Project, which you can donate to at bit.ly/LezTrevor.
Another way that you can help support us right now is if you cannot make it to the live show yourself, tell your friends. Let them know, share the event, get the word out. The more people that know about it, the better. So that would be huge. We would absolutely appreciate it. Love you guys forever for doing that.
Yes.
So yeah, just help, tell people that it's happening.
Yeah, and we have a Facebook event, so if you just put into Facebook Lez Hangout, our live event is the first event to show up.
Yes.
Super easy to find. If you want to find me individually, you can find me at Ellie Brigida on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can follow me at LSH Foster on Instagram and Twitter.
And like we said at the beginning of the episode, we have an original song titled I'm a Wonder Woman. We're so excited to share with you, so be sure to stick around after sign off to listen.
And with that, I'm Lee.
And I'm Ellie.
And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
I will not be second best. I will not be silenced by their condescension. If you think that I'm impressed by their rank pretension, I should mention that I expect to earn their respect and their trust. I'll never settle for the life they allow. In the end, I'm willing to bend for love, 'cause it's the only thing I can't live without. I'm a Wonder Woman. You can't break me. I'm in control. My destiny is resting in the palm of my hand. I'm a Wonder Woman. You can't make me fit to your molds. I know what I deserve, so you'll never have to wonder what this woman is worth. Nobody sees what I could be, the possibilities of my abilities. Caught up in their idea of me, what they might fail to see, all my proclivities. Why should we submit to the rules that they give if we prefer an unconventional life? Whether our endeavor is foolish or not, you'll never win if you're afraid of the fight. I'm a Wonder Woman. You can't break me. I'm in control. My destiny is resting in the palm of my hand. I'm a Wonder Woman. You can't make me fit to your mold. I know what I deserve, so you'll never have to wonder what this woman is worth. Tie me up.
Domination.
Tell me you love me.
Inducement.
I'll be yours forever.
If you submit to me.
If we choose, I've got to
Compliance.
want it too. Don't lie to me. I'd have to punish you. I'm a Wonder Woman. You can't break me. I'm in control. My destiny is resting in the palm of my hand. I'm a Wonder Woman. You can't make me fit to your molds. I know what I deserve, so you'll never have to wonder what this woman is worth.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.